Hey, I'm here. We're live. It's the weekend, and that means we get to work a little bit more on this RPG I've trying to put together without using math. It's been a journey. It's been great. If you're just joining for the first time, we'll do a quick rundown of what exactly is going on here. So there's two parts to this that will probably be released separately. The first part is basically a different kind of way to run RPGs. It is it's a sort of new version that I have not yet play tested, so I don't know if it's worth anything yet. But the general idea is that there will be 3 GMs and only 1 to 3 players. I was wondering what would happen if the GMs, because I know a lot of people that really enjoy collaborating and story building and world building and all that sort of thing. So I wanted a way for that to become a game in and of itself. So I made this sort of system-agnostic way to run a TTRPG with 3 game masters, or whatever the system you choose uses, and only a couple of players. And this will help build a good story, using, hero's journey, 3 acts. It gives that sort of guidance you need in order to create, basically the basis of a novel, movie, TV show, piece of entertainment media that contains a story. I won't go through exactly how that works, but it is the first part of what I'm working on. The second part is a actual system that is sort of designed to be used with this multi-GM story-oriented system. First up is that this game will have no math, no addition, subtraction whatsoever. You will figure out what dice you need to roll and how many, and once you roll them, you'll be able to look at the numbers and immediately know, without adding or subtracting or multiplying or anything, whether you succeeded or failed on that check. So obviously there's going to be math involved in creating it to, balance it out, make some difficulty class choices. But for now, here's the basis of it. You want to roll low, so rolling a 1 is good. There are no d20s, but all other dice in a dice set are going to be used. Or at least every shape. There's no d20s and no d100s. So if the character attempts to do something, like find a key, punch an enemy, or lie, or something like that, the GM will set a difficulty between 1 and 10. Oh, hi Fred, how's it going? Thanks for dropping in. So since you're trying to roll low, setting the difficulty at a 1 is very, very difficult. It's nearly impossible, and a 10 is extremely easy. You will be able to roll d12s for stuff if you're bad at it, if you have a flaw connected to your character that says, I don't know, they're physically weak. Yeah, you're going to be rolling a d12 with any strength-based check. So the chances are higher that you will fail. Some checks will be impossible for player characters to succeed at. Like if someone falls off a bridge and they say, I flap my arms to try to fly, and they don't have wings, they've never flown before. No, you don't get a check for that, you just fall. Maybe to your death, we'll see. Death is an excellent, it is a great piece of the story if it's done correctly. We won't get into that today. I've got a couple videos of that on my channel if you want to go check those out. But In the situations, that GM should not allow a roll. So the example I give here is jumping over a 30-foot wall with, normal human abilities. No one can do that. No one has a 30-foot vertical. Then, once the GM sets the difficulty that they think this check should be, the player will roll dice to determine whether they succeed or fail. Like most RPGs that, I think all RPGs that I've played at least. So what dice they roll and how many of that dice they roll depends on their character. They have traits, which are biological, like racial features in D&D, like water breathing or dark vision or stuff like that. They also have talents, which are like class abilities. They are things that can be learned by almost anyone with the correct training and, prerequisites and whatnot. They also have flaws, which supersede those traits and talents. Usually traits and talents are good things, so they're going to allow you to roll lower dice, so you have a higher chance of succeeding. But flaws trump those. So, like, if you have a flaw that says you can't roll lower than a D12 on this check, then no matter what traits and talents you have that might apply to it, you can't roll lower than a D12. You also have equipment that can help you with this, giving you maybe multiple attacks or maybe certain wounds that you can deal. If none of the effects, if your traits, talents, flaws, equipment, and wounds just don't affect... Ooh, I should probably put that in here. Flaws, equipment, and wounds. Active wounds. So, like, if you have a cut tendon, like someone hamstringed you, and you're trying to run, your wound is going to affect that check that you make to run. If none of these 5 things affect what die is rolled, roll a single D10. So this should be which dice are rolled. Which dice... I need to do some editing here. I have not proofread this at all. This is like barely a first draft. So bear with me a sec while I fix some things that we decided in some of the previous streams as I put this thing together. So which die is used depends on your character's stuff. How many dice depends on any effort points spent. So you have this pool of effort points, basically how much energy you have right now. If you fail a check, you get an effort point. If you take a rest, you get some effort points. I haven't worked out exactly how many or what defined a rest yet. We'll get around to that eventually. But if you spend an effort point or 2 effort points, you can increase. If you spend an effort point, you get an extra die. If you spend 2 effort points, you get 2 extra dice. I might change that, but basically you can still try really hard at something even if you're bad at it. So if you are physically weak and you can't roll lower than a die smaller than a D12, then you can spend a bunch of effort points and roll 3 D12 to severely increase the chances that you will succeed. I haven't done any probability math on whether or not this is viable, but I kind of like where it's going. I know this game is probably not going to be balanced in its first draft. Even after several playtests, it probably is going to have several kinks that still need working out. Oh, number of dice, I put it here. Cool. So, let's see. That's rules for effort pool. Here's some wound abilities. So, like, a monster can deal a wound. Attack 8 means that the... Ooh. I have to explain that, too. The GM doesn't roll dice in this game. Ever. The GM will only roll dice... No, they never do. They just straight up don't. It's only the players that do. If a monster with attack 8, swings its little goblin sword at the player character, then the player is going to have to roll an avoid check. If the player attacks the monster, the player will roll an attacking check. Just to see whether they can dodge out of the way, orient themselves so the strike hits their armor and not the inside of their leg. And most of that is going to be based on equipment, which we haven't gotten into yet. I decided that today, what RPG is balanced? Excellent point. No RPGs are truly balanced. There are always going to be ways to break them. And people love that. So, like, an unbalanced RPG isn't a bad thing at all. Let's see. Today, as I indicated in my promos and all the other stuff that comes with when I decide I'm going to do something, thumbnail, title. We're working on magic. I said I would get a start on it last stream, and we never got around to it. So that's what I want to focus on first today. In this world, or this game, it's designed to be system, or like world genre agnostic, I guess. So... yeah, play chess if you want balance, or checkers, whatever. Those games exist. Since I want this to be able to be played in any sort of world, I need a magic system, because a lot of worlds have magic in them, especially ones that RPG players enjoy. So, in this game, I'm calling them sorceries. So if you know a sorcery, it's basically you have a spell that you can do. When you level up, you can spend a point in talent, or you can spend a point in a sorcery. So that means you get to learn a new talent, or rank up a talent, or learn a new sorcery, or rank up a sorcery. I'll change this to 1 point. Like I said earlier, players are always going to be the ones rolling dice. Here are just some of the things that we brainstormed in, like, the first time I streamed this sort of thing, for different spells that could be available. Controlling elements, creating elements, enthralling or charming animals, people, all sort of stuff. Telekinesis, moving stuff with your mind, creating objects, just like summoning them from another place or just out of nothing. Camouflage, which is basically like going to be at low level, it's just like really good at hiding, but at higher level, it is going to become actual invisibility. Plant growth, whether the plants are there or not, you cause them to grow more. It's pretty self-explanatory. All sorts of stuff like that. So we're going to go over to the document that has these things, which is this one. Here's what I've got so far, sort of how it's been designed. You have control fire, so you can cause 1 cubic inch of flame. This is like a basically cantrip, all right? It's super low level stuff. And you can only control it within melee of you. So if you can only control it where your arm can reach. If you spend a level up point into this control fire ability, the size of which you can use this for increases to 1 cubic foot. So literally a lot bigger. And it is now big enough that you can use it to attack targets within melee, its control range. So when you do this, you will roll, when you use your action to attack with this control fire stuff, you will use your attack die of a d10, and you will cause this wound, which is a burn. And anyone that suffers a burn wound, will fire attacks become more likely to hit them. That's all it does at this point. Like you can get this at level 3. And I want there to be sort of like a lot of level ups, because you only get, like, the only thing you get when you level up is a single point to spend in a talent or a sorcery. That's it. So it's one level up basically every, I don't know, session, however long those end up being. So you can focus specifically on one thing and get really, really good at one thing, but have a ton of weaknesses and, like, things that you're going to have problems with. Hey, Toasty Cron! You once homebrewed a system for 5e, which I might find interesting if you want to pursue it after the stream. Sure, you can post that in my Discord server. That'd be fantastic. I can take a look. I don't know if I'll have time to get to it today, but I do like me some good homebrew. Yes, some magic system stuff. Yes, exactly. I also have that. Control fire is separate from create fire. So you can't just rank up this super powerful ability and always be able to use it. You also need to be able to create it. So you need to spend your points wisely. But yeah, thanks for joining. Glad to see your name pop up in chat. Yes. Great minds think alike, though fools seldom differ. We'll never know which ones we are. Moving on to other spells and stuff. Sorceries. Gotta call them sorceries. That's what I want to stick with that. Planting my flag and not moving. So with create fire, you can create 1 cubic inch of flame without a fuel source. And, you know, the flame is extinguished if you will it, you lose consciousness, or you die. So I don't want there to be like a concentration mechanic. I just want persistent spells to require a lot of ranks in order to get, you know, the good effects. For example, you need to be at least level 6-ish to get access to a nasty wound with your control fire. So with Major Burn, your fire-based attacks and avoidance checks against this target get an extra die. So now your avoidance checks against the target that has a major burn, basically it's going to be much more difficult to hit you. I don't know if I want this to be extra die, or if I want it to the only extra die to come from the effort pool. So you can only get extra dice if you try hard. I think I'll spread it out a little bit, just because it might be easier to balance, and that way things won't overlap. You can stack abilities easier if this one gives you a low die and this one gives you extra dice. So I think maybe magic will stick with extra dice only, perhaps. I'll write that down. Oh, yes. No, it has to be different. So the wounds and the attack dice are stacked. So, silly me. No, all my formatting is gone. Fixed. So, originally, the attack die is going to be a d10. So, if you... Basically, that's, you know, if a goon with no abilities tries to do something, they use a d10. As you rank up, that... that will increase, or the size of the die will decrease, which is good because you want to roll low. Going higher and higher and higher, probability-wise, is difficult. So the difference, the chances that you'll roll, the difference between the chance that you'll roll a 1 on a d10 or on a d8 is a much smaller difference than the chances you'll roll a 1 on a d8 versus a d6. So this scales like a it doesn't scale linearly. It scales with a curve. So the difference between a d6 and a d4, that's a difference of like 25% and 16%, something like that, 17%. And the difference between a d6 and a d8 is, what would it be, 16% versus 12.5%. That's a much smaller difference than 16 to 25. It's crazy. So in general, I want to avoid using d4s unless you go to like rank 10 in something. That's the limit I've been setting for myself, that you need 10 ranks in something before you get to roll a d4. But d6s are great, d8s are good, d10s are average, and d12s are fun. So at rank 8, the superpowered, maxed out control fire ability I have is you increase the amount of flame you can control from 1 cubic foot to 10 cubic feet, which is, you know, a 10 by 10 cube. Thanks, Fred. Thanks for joining. You have an excellent sleep. Don't worry, I finally remembered to put your stream after mine, so when I end this, people will be directed to your stream for today. I figured out how to do it. It'll work this time, I swear. Let's see. So that's control fire. There's also create fire. And I want this to work in tandem, basically, with control fire. So if you get rank 2 in this, copy that and paste it here. So rank 2 of create fire and control fire are basically the same. Craft their own spell-like weapons. I like that. Perfect. Thank you. I'll take a look at that when I get a chance. Increasing to 1 cubic foot of flame. So, remembering that we're using no math here. The players should not have to do any math, and the GM should... So far, they don't have to do any math. It's just us that are having to do probability math to make sure it's, like, sort of balanced in this first draft. And if it's not, well, we'll figure that out when we playtest it. Which we will be doing in my Discord server one of these days. When this first draft is finished, I will be putting a bunch of playtests together to try to work on this system. When it's done, it will definitely be, at the very least, pay what you want. It's not going to be behind a paywall when I'm complete with it. Mostly because I don't have any game design experience, so I don't know if anyone would buy a game from someone who's never made a game. So rank 2 increases to 1 cubic foot of flame. You cannot... This ability does not allow you to move the flame you create. Oh, I just had a thought. How have I missed this? We're also going to add Destroy Flame. Destroy Fire. Because, you know, all of you that have seen Avatar: The Last Airbender know that fire bending is dangerous, and it can get out of hand very quickly. So, if you can create fire, but not destroy it, you can just create, and then everything's out of hand. You need to be able to actually put it out as well. I don't know if I want this to be... Actually, you know, maybe you think create water will be enough? We don't need a destroy fire ability. Maybe destroy elements with the focus. I did want to split them up more, but I think destroy element is a dope-ass name, and so we're going to add it. But we'll work on it later, so... So since this is so... Like, it's a very, very small... I was considering splitting it up, like we have with control and create. I also don't want a create wind or create earth. Like maybe those would come in handy eventually, but I'm not going to spend time on them because I feel like nobody would take them. I certainly wouldn't for my character. But destroy element, I would not take destroy fire because I feel like that would just be way too specific of a scenario. Now, destroy any element, so fire, water, air, that's a big deal. That is something I would do because I would be able to do that at any point. But we will work on that one once we get through, you know, the rest of these real quick. We'll start out with the elements. Maybe do some plant growth or charming stuff. And I think that'll bring us to, you know, about as long as I can go. Been doing this for half an hour already. Got a quick create earth, super useful. Yes. You could also do the same thing, like block off passageways, create bridges, fill holes, bury enemies. You could do that with control earth just as easily. Like, where are you going to be that you would need to create earth and not have it? There's one episode, I mean, we're doing elements, so I keep coming back to Avatar, where, yeah, so if your world has a plane of air, you could create earth, but maybe this would be a, that's just so specific of a situation. I feel like no one would take create earth over control earth, you know? I'm specifically making this so that you can make new abilities. Ooh, which reminds me, I gotta show off the work I did in the meantime. So I created these form-fillable cards that you can use to denote your traits, talents, flaws, and equipment. And these are... This is just an example of how to fill out the forms, but the forms here actually fillable. So if you want dark vision or night vision, you can just type it right into this PDF. And that box for the trait is a type of check affected. Vision in dark. The die to use would be, let's say, D8. And then there's a huge description here that you can either put description in or you can print them out and put art in there. Entirely up to you. And I haven't made one for sorceries yet, but I'm going to. So these are going to be, it's going to be easy to create your own sorceries. So if you think that you need a create earth over a control earth, you can make it. And you can just like copy paste everything into that from the actual control earth, or like write your own abilities onto that card that will come with the game. And that's basically your character sheet. It's just those cards. So I don't know if that's going to be cool, if that's a good idea, if it's a bad idea. I enjoy it, but I'm biased. It was my not my original idea. It was actually one of my patrons that thought of it for me. And I said, that's awesome, and put like a couple hours of work into making those cards. And I like how they came out, so I want to use them. But if it's dumb and people don't like it, I have no problem scrapping it. I had a good time creating them. Let's see. So, create fire. We need more ranks in this thing. Actually, let's just quick copy paste all of the ranks from control fire into here and just edit those. So, let's see. Increase to 3 cubic feet of flame. Let's see. I think this is actually okay. It just needs a note. Like this little extra thing here, this ability does not allow you to move the flame you create. This sorcery. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. We'll just call that good, and we'll playtest it later and see if it actually is any good. Okay, control water. You can create what is the cantrippiest, littlest, tiniest bit of water that you should be able to control. Maybe a liter? I don't want to use fluid ounces because I know liters better. Like you can imagine, liter is easier. A liter might be a bit much because, like, if we're comparing this to create fire, you can basically 1 cubic inch. You can light a candle. That's about it. Water skin. Yeah, it is something most adventurers are going to carry. I don't want, like, water skins is not a size limit, though. Like, you can walk around and say, I have this, 30-gallon water skin that I carry with me at all times. And you can just, like, push people around with this thing. And I don't want that to be an issue. But yes, carrying your water skin around when you have control water, brilliant. It's a no-brainer. So, control water, you can create... Maybe we should do it in... We're using feet here. You want to use real units or freedom units? We'll keep them in freedom units, I guess. So, cup. No. This is not for D&D. This is specifically for a new system entirely. The D&D water skin. Oh, got it. That makes sense. Let's limit it, because you can only light a candle with create fire. So control water, maybe you can create 1 cup of water. Oh no, you can control 1 cup of water. 1 cup of water to move. What was the control flame wording? 1 cubic inch of water in melee with you to move as you will. There. Yeah, cool. Now if we rank to this thing, another copy. Can also freeze/unfreeze this water. So that's the cool thing about shape water cantrip in D&D, is that you can shape it and then freeze it. So you can just create beautiful sculptures as you will. You can make a cane for yourself. It's awesome. You can just create a hammer real quick and shape water into a hammer, then smash someone with it and it shatters. It's dope. Because I'm putting this freeze unfreeze it in here, I'm also going to have several rules about like suffocation, drowning, maybe a general rule about you can only cast magic at points you can see. Let's write that down real quick. So basically you can't create water inside someone's lungs and just auto kill them. That's dumb. It might not be dumb. I don't know what you're asking, Kron. I'm not that deep into the game creation. I've only played like this many RPGs before in my life. So I know I've seen OSR mentioned, PBTA, no idea what that even stands for. Gonna need an explanation to answer your question. Sorry. Save versus death. I haven't figured that out. We haven't gone too deeply into health and wounds and death yet. I wanted to last time we streamed, and I realized that there was a lot more that we still hadn't done yet as far as combat goes. So we couldn't start deciding how health works until we figured out how a roll to hit works. So we haven't gotten to that point yet. I like the idea of save versus death. So there's a sort of, I described it at the beginning, but I'm not going to make you scroll back all the way back there to see it. The basis of this system is that there's no math. That's the big idea behind it. There's no math that the players or the GMs are going to have to do. The goal is to roll low when the GM... Here, I'll just pull it up real quick. Easier to explain. Whoops. This one. All the way up. Okay, here. So golf rolling. Low roll is better than a high roll. When a player attempts to do something, like in a normal RPG, they find a key, they try to punch an enemy, they try to lie to someone, the GM will set a difficulty between 1 and 10, with 1 being nearly impossible because you're trying to roll low, and 10 being very easy because you're definitely going to roll below 10, especially if you're like rolling a d8 for it. It's like an auto success. Some checks are going to be impossible, so like if you fall off a bridge and you say, I flap my arms to try to fly, and you don't have wings, you don't get a roll for that. If you try to jump over a 30-foot wall and you have like normal human jumping ability, nobody has a 30-foot vertical, so that's not going to work. Yes, yeah, I want to play Call of Cthulhu one of these days, but and I got like the basic rules, but oh my god, they're complicated. Eventually I'm going to make a video on how to learn RPGs fast, but I can't make that video until I figure it out. So after the GM sets the difficulty between 1 and 10, the player is going to roll dice to determine whether they succeed or fail. How big of a die you use depends on your character's traits, which are biological traits like water breathing or dark vision, their talents, which is basically like class abilities, some stuff you can actually learn or train to become better at, flaws, which are basically like anything that's quote-unquote wrong with your character. So like if you have terrible vision, or if you are physically weak, there is a minimum size of die you can roll. So like if you're physically weak and you try to do something strength-based, you have to roll a d12. You can also boost what die you roll with your equipment. That also will determine what kind of wounds you can deal to whatever you're attacking. And any active wounds that have been dealt to you. So if a goblin has lacerated your lower legs and you roll a check to move quickly, that check is going to have also going to have a minimum size of die you can roll. If nothing applies, you will roll a d10. How many dice you roll depends on effort points spent, and also, some of these abilities are going to affect that. So you have this pool of effort points, which is basically how much energy you have. And you can spend, I haven't decided how many maximum, probably like 2, maybe 3 effort points to add 2 or 3 dice to the roll. So if you're a weakling and you're trying to move a large rock, you can try harder by spending effort points. And instead of rolling that 1d12 to get that target roll, whatever the GM set, then you can spend 3 effort points, roll a total of 4 d12. Seriously increase your chances of succeeding at that task. That's basically how the checks will work. No math involved. You don't have to add or subtract anything once you roll the dice. Once you roll the dice, you are going to know immediately whether you succeeded or failed. That's the basis of the system. I like it, and I think I'm going to stick with it. We haven't play tested it yet, so this might change. Back to sorceries, now that you have that in the back of your mind. Dice trading mechanic where you can take a certain amount of dice and then you're dead, but the dice you get is what you can use later to roll. That would be cool. I do have a full system as far as checks go laid out and an idea for health, but I will keep that in mind. For example, when you fail a check, you get an effort point to spend more dice on future checks. So that's sort of the same, but it doesn't have to deal with health points and death. It's just failing checks or succeeding at them. Let's see. I am parched. Okay. Control water. Increase to 1 cubic foot. Increase to 1 liter? Oof. I think both spellings of liter are correct. You can now... This is enough. You can now freeze this water in and use it to attack a target. You can now freeze this water and use it to attack a target. Yeah. Probably no wound effects for just hitting someone with an ice knife. For example, fire-based attacks will deal a burn, but ice and stuff will just leave like normal cuts. So I'm probably not going to have any effects there. Wounds dealt by these weapons have no additional effects. Sure. Again, might change it later if people don't like that. Rank 3. What do we got in rank 3 here? Increase the size again. Hold increase to 3 liters, because we got 1 cubic foot into 3 cubic feet of flame. So yeah, why not? And I think for the rest, we can just copy-paste. Let's see. Attack dies D8. Attack range is increased. Control range. Should we increase the actual control range to... Yeah, let's try it. So, basically with the fire control, when you use your control fire sorcery, you can only control it within melee of yourself, but you can hurl pieces of it to attack targets that are mid-range or within 30 feet, I think is what mid-range is. Then you can... excuse me. So I think with water, extending the control range would basically be the equivalent, because you can't really attack with the water unless you create the weapon. No. Wait, we're in fire, aren't we? We are. Go back to water. So I think what I want to do is I'll change these up a bit. Increase to 6 liters. And then this will increase to 10 liters. And this will increase the control range. And then this will increase to 20 liters. Oh no, we're not using liters, we're using... Oh, dang it. We'll change these to half gallons. So make this 2 gallons. Make this 4 gallons. No, make this 5 gallons. Make this 10 gallons. Increase to 25 gallons. Increase to 50 gallons. I don't know how much 50 gallons is, just like inside my head. Oh, yeah. Like a 55-gallon drum. I know how big that is. Okay. Might as well just put this at 55 then. Hey, Phil! Good to see you! I know we haven't interacted much, but I see you in Discord servers all the time. Always streaming on... I believe you make game design stuff, is that correct? So your expertise here would be much appreciated. We're working on making a magic system that is not balanced. Not balanced at all. I have no game design experience unless you count playing them. If you guys want to check out someone with actual game design experience, go check out Phil Kearney's channel. He is a super active member in the TTRPG creator community. I love seeing his name pop up in basically every Discord server I'm in. So I think we'll also keep this control water thing to also grant partial cover. Because a 55-gallon drum is enough water to, create a sheet that can, well, partial visual cover, no. Maybe this should be more extreme, because, like, I want rank 8, or maybe 9 or 10 to be, like, you can create a wave. Like, this is supposed to be, like, a high-level ability. Maybe just create this to 1 gallon? Like, could you make a weapon from a frozen gallon of ice? Probably. You can make a club from that and deal some damage. So let's increase the increments by a lot. So increase this to 10 gallons, so you can create basically any weapon at that point. Make this 25, and then you get a 55-gallon drum at... Yes, that's exactly where I'm thinking. The Shape Water ability, cantrip in D&D also can do this. I don't know. I've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender like 6 or 7 times now. It's such a good show. So yes, definitely taking waterbending vibes as inspiration for this. So 55 gallons and you can now control it 30 feet away from you instead of in melee. So 100 gallons? How much does 100 gallons look like? Okay. Gotcha. So yeah, let's make it 100 gallons. 100 gallons and maybe 300 gallons? So if you have 300 gallons all within 5 feet of you, yeah, I'd say that's some cover. It would be tough for an arrow to go through that. I think it's only a couple feet of water it takes to stop a bullet. Arrows have more mass and are more hydrodynamic a bit, but it still can't be that long. Still can't have that be that much different from how much water it takes to stop a bullet. So yeah, that is control water, the sorcery control water. And we've now created 3. Control fire, create fire, control water, and now we go on to create water. This one's going to be boring. Because the only things... yes, 100 gallons seems about the size of someone squatting down. So 3 people squatting down should be enough to grant someone partial cover. You can still see through it and everything, but yeah. Offering some formatting work. Okay, yeah, maybe. I'll definitely keep that in mind. This is still a long way from being finished, or even start to format and stuff. I'll put some formatting together myself maybe and then have you take a look at it or something. Keep an eye out in the Discord server for when we actually start playtesting this thing. Once it's complete enough to be able to roll dice and be used to tell a story. Let's see. Create, let's see, 1 cup of water. And then ranking up is going to be super, super simple. Do 1 gallon, 10 gallon, 25, 55, 100, 300, and then 1,000. So 1,000 gallons is like a small pool, right? 1,000 gallons. No, it's more like a small hot tub. Maybe we'll increase the create water by a bit. Honestly, maybe just tack a 0 onto the end of all of these. So by rank, so if we do that, then rank 5, which control water at rank 5 increases to 50. you can control 10% of the water you create if you have the equal number of ranks in control and create. I don't know. Well, first, let's see what the maximum is going to be. 1,000 gallons. Okay, that's about right. 1,000 gallons is a decent amount. Like, you need a ladder to get to the top of a 10,000 gallon water tank. Cool. I'm okay with that. That seems about right. And let's make this 1 gallon. So, one of the reasons I don't want to balance this, and I think create water is the right time to talk about this. Oh, hey, Invictus, you're here too? Amazing. I need to catch up in chat. Yes, the rain, white noise, this, and the music. I don't know if you guys can hear the music. I'm going to turn it up a bit. Just a smidge. The rain and music are both from Michael Gelfi Studios. Their stuff is completely free to use, not a sponsor. Volume for water was better. Bit overwhelming. Cool. I do have it set up as a side chain, so it shouldn't overdo my voice too much. But the music and ambience are both all from Michael Gelfi Studios. All their stuff is on YouTube. All of it is free to use. It's amazing. Their library is enormous. I use all their stuff. Like, it's the only music and ambience I use for my home games now. How easily do I want this to nullify thirst as a risk to travelers? That is what I was about to talk about. So this system is made to be portable to several different genres. So I think this is a good example of you can't balance it for every single genre by just making one system, because what if you play a game that is entirely underwater? Create water? Useless. No one's going to take it. Now, if you play a game that is only in desert or maybe in space, create water suddenly becomes like an essential. Like, you cannot survive without knowing this sorcery, create water. And there are two options to balance this out. You can either ban it, or ban/fix it, you know, like reduce all of the amounts by like a factor of 10. Take all those zeros off. So careful with that, Invictus, because I need to, which reminds me, up here, the rules for magic, you can only cast magic at points you can see. So you cannot just fill someone's lungs with water and kill them. That might change if people really want to do that, and risk having their enemies also be able to do that. Big risk. But anyway, talking about game balance a little bit. So you can create this gallon of water in this desert environment. Everybody knows this. There's two ways to fix it. One, you can ban it or actually fix the mechanics of it. Or my suggestion earlier up in this document is you use this game imbalance to influence the story. So yes, you can learn how to create water from nothing. But what if that knowledge is kept very secret in this desert environment. And that knowledge is what gives the ruling power its power. And if that piece of knowledge got out and suddenly everyone could create water, then that power would be taken away completely. And I think that story itself would be something I would love to play through. Like a group of people investigating, like trying to take down this evil government that controls its society through the creation of water. And if they can get their hands on how to do this and make that public knowledge, the government would fall. And that would be, yes, exactly like Mad Max. That's exactly what I'm thinking about. And if you took away if the people no longer had a need for water, then the government would no longer be able to control them. And just from a storytelling perspective, I think that's awesome. And so that is another aspect of this game that I want to be clear, is that its imbalances should not be balanced. Its imbalances are what makes the story you're writing good and important. And, gives the world of a unique spin and stuff like that. So I am definitely going to leave this as it is. Not only, you might see this as like a sort of like, he's just leaving his game unbalanced because he can't balance it correctly. And you're absolutely right. I cannot balance it. So I'm coming up with the best excuse I can, which is good storytelling as a result of game imbalance. All right, spiel done. Control wind is next. I'm not sure how I want to make this one, because it can't, like, how do we want to limit it? Do we want to limit it to miles per hour? Or do we want to limit it to volume of wind? Like, I feel like general miles per hour and an area in which that wind moves. Thanks, Phil. That means a lot coming from you. It really does. So trying to resolve it by making it cooler and leaning into what I think I'm good at. Control wind. How... Like, I think miles per hour is something that most people would be able to understand and visualize over, you move 10 cubic feet of wind 10 feet at a rate of da-da-da-da-da-da. So the wind, maybe... Yeah, but I also want it to be sort of... I want the higher ranks of the control wind to both increase the speed of the wind and increase the area of which it is affected. So sort of like a fireball in 5th edition D&D, like at the first level you can only do it 10 feet away and the radius is only 5 feet. So you can just get a sort of little bit. And at higher levels, maybe you can create hurricane force winds 10 miles away. That's kind of the vibe I want to go for this. Let's see. Speed and area should be important. Yes, exactly. Maybe something where you can have a greater effect in a smaller area, but a lower effect the larger the area. Interesting. I think that the first thought I have for creating both of these things, how do I put this? I want to create two different ones: control wind and mass, and control wind like micro control wind and macro control wind. Like you can create, you know, you can move all of this wind a large distance from far away, or you can kill someone by pointing at their temple and shooting a piece of air into their brain. And those would be two different abilities, like a small, powerful scale or a larger area and less powerful. Create wind versus create storm. I do like that. I just like the idea of create storm. Let's see. Right. Okay. Thunder. Thunder. Wrong song. That's copyright music. All right, we're just gonna throw that in here real quick. Create a storm. So control wind and create storm. You undo. Unbold. What just happened? We're good. We're good. Okay. You create. Within mid-range. So somewhere within 30 feet of you. I see Kron here has an idea. Make it so that there's these spells, but you can also have rituals, which would be something like create storm. Yes. So create. I like it. I like it. Create storm. We'll just write that down in here real quick, so we don't forget. Takes 10 minutes to cast. Versus control wind, if there is nothing in here, it'll take, you know, a couple seconds. So you can have like this ritual to summon a storm over a city. I like it. I like it a lot. So you create the small local stuff is easy to cast, and the big faraway stuff takes longer. Yeah. I want to stay away from having material components like that, Kron, just because that is going to be... That would limit the number of genres that could use these spells. Like, exactly like you're saying. Like, I don't want to say, if you're in a sci-fi genre, you need an engine. If you're in a fantasy genre, you need a lightning dragon egg. What if you're in just, you know, playing a modern genre? And it's just, like, people walking around. There's no magic. There's just, like, fighting. Normal fighting in an RPG. Then you'd never be able to do this sort of thing. Actually, no, that argument is dumb, because normal world doesn't have magic. No one can create a storm. Maybe. I'll think about it. I just don't... I'm averse to material components as a mechanic. Love it. Absolutely brilliant when it comes to flavor. But I want to leave that flavor up to the GMs. You know, like when I run D&D, for instance, I say, okay, maybe this says you need some bat guano to cast a spell, but if you want to use a feather instead, tell me why, and I'll allow it, you know? It's totally fine. Yes, very, very much into player and GM agency. This isn't a board game, it's an RPG, you know? Anyway, we need to put numbers on this. Control wind. You know what? I think for now, we're going to take a quick break. I've been doing this for a little over an hour. So we'll just take a quick break real quick. A quick break real quick. It should not take long because it will be quick. I'm going to go stand up, clear my head. We'll come back and work on the difference between control wind and create storm and figure out how this magic is going to work. Thank you so much to everyone that has stopped by or is still here. Really appreciate, love working with the community like this. It is honestly one of my favorite things about being a YouTuber, content creator. Love just hanging out with you guys. So stick around and we'll continue working on control, blah, 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 blah. See, I need a break. Control wind and create storm when we return. we're back. Thank you to everyone who was able to stick around for whatever this is about to become. It appears my cat Hugo has left us. He got bored of napping, listening to our rain and my voice over and over. In it to win it. Let's see. Control wind. Need some ranks for this boy. Rank 2. Let's see. Well, actually, no. Before we do ranks, we need to actually figure out what the heck we're measuring by. So within mid-range means within 30 feet. Should we do miles per hour? How should we... What do most people... What do most people do their wind speed by? Like, storm? A leaf rustling wind versus a tree felling wind? Actually, you know what? Let's just... No, if I look it up, how to measure wind, it's just going to be in, like, miles per hour or something. It's a dilemma, that's for sure. And we're here to solve it. The wind is enough to blow out a candle. Control weather and dungeon magic. Oh, okay. Usually the 5th edition DMG is referenced as being horrible in all senses of the word in comparison to other Game Master guides for other games or even other editions. At least that's what I've heard. Let's see what it has to offer us, though. Let's see, where would this be? In the Dungeon Master's Guide. Sorry, I'm looking at it on a different screen right now. I don't want to steal from D&D, but now that this is under a Creative Commons license, I can. Let's see. Actually, I don't think that's what a Creative Commons license means, so we're going to tweak it a little bit once it hits our page here. I see. Yes, okay. That is what I'm looking for. Now that they have an SRD, I can do that. Thanks, Phil. Let's download this real quick. Or just open it in its own screen, I guess? Yeah. Unfortunately, using the underlying mechanics of the game is going to be tough because only players make rolls. So we will turn this control wind into an attack of some kind at rank 2, but until then, we will say the wind is can blow out candles and is strong enough to blow out candles. In a 10-foot radius. Around a point within range. Sure, that'll work. In the SRD, we can search weather. It looks like the DMG does not have the weather information, but it does have the control weather spell. Just catching up on chat real quick. Partial success. Let's see. Yes, when I run games, I have it's like a player says, "I'm going to attempt to do this," not just "I'm going to do the thing," and I will say, I'll just say, "Yeah, it works," or "Yeah, it doesn't work," or "Yeah, roll me a check." Let's see, with Control Weather is an 8th level spell. That's right. It's crazy. Let's stick with trying to build this one from the ground up. I don't like it. We're just going to have to play test it to work out the kinks. Just because there's no underlying rule set to build this off of yet. There might be in the future, but that is in the future, and we're doing this now. Maybe a mistake. So, wind is strong enough to blow out candles. So let's do every other rank increases the... So let's do rank... Yeah, rank 2 allows you to move people. Becomes strong enough to move people and objects 5 feet. Let's see, for fire, it's just a normal attack. Attack die. Would this be an attack? No, this wouldn't be an attack, because it wouldn't do damage. And all attacks are going to do damage in this system, just for simplicity's sake. You must roll a... check to move creatures. Well, what kind of check do we have to use? What is at our disposal? We've got maybe a spell check? D8 spell check. Maybe. I don't know what to call it. We don't have a verbiage here yet. In general, like, we have abilities that say You can apply this ability to checks that involve strength. You can apply this ability to checks that involve magic. You can apply this ability to checks that involve vision. Stuff like that. And so what does... I don't know how to... Ooh, this is real tough. So this is where... This is why game design is hard. Slowly learning for myself exactly how difficult it can be to design an entire game on your own. I have found the weeds indeed. What kind of check? Wouldn't be a strength check. How about a general sorcery check? A sorcery check. So you must roll a sorcery check to move creatures. Whatever that ends up being. Like, we can make it a talent, maybe? Ooh, yeah. Okay. So talents up here. Sorry for all the scrolling. Whirlwind is a bad example. We haven't balanced that at all yet. But like Investigator, these rank up very quickly in comparison to spells. I'm noticing. So, oh, that's right. We haven't rebalanced this yet. This is assuming you're spending 2 points to get to these things. Right. That's what I'm thinking. Like, each monster here, I'll pull up the monster stat real quick. So here's one monster stat block. It's got a size, it's got a number of wounds it can take, it's got a defense, and it's got a movements. Some have more than one kind of movement if they can like fly or swim. And it has different attacks. For example, the goblin's attack is 8. So the player is going to have to roll an avoidance of 8 or lower in order to successfully avoid this goblin sword attack. It's the defense, I guess, we could base it on. Yeah, let's do that. Let's just base it on defense for now. We can change that if we figure out a better idea. Where was I? Right here. Nope. Right here. Yes. But I also want to have a not caster. Magic caster. You can spend level points and sorceries. So you want in. He doesn't love me. It's okay. Right. So using defense is risky because I just love the idea of splitting defense into like magic and agility and general constitution. Like, yeah, you can take attacks, but you're tough enough where you can take them, or you can dodge attacks really well, or magic doesn't affect you as much. all of that is put into one stat, which is risky, but I think for simplicity's sake, we're going to accept that risk. So Magic Caster, you can spend level points in sorceries. Sorcery checks use D8, or no, D10. And then maybe at rank 2, sorcery checks use D8. Maybe at rank 5, sorcery checks use a D6. D6. Sorcerty. Yes, that's how you spell it. So, now that we have this actually being a thing, we can go back to here and use that. So, at rank 2, with Control Wind, the wind becomes strong enough to move people and objects. You must roll a sorcery check to move creatures. I don't want to say it, but I'm going to have to. Sorcery check against... If a creature is moved, to move a creature. You must roll a successful sorcery check against its defense. That is the first instruction I've had so far. That is, you must do this kind of check against this stat. That is why I'm so hesitant to write it, because once, like, there's a precedent for it, this is how it's going to be written for the rest of the game. And I think that's okay. I think. This does simplify the rest of the ranks, though, which yes, it will. So, rank 3, the affected radius increases to 20 feet? Then rank 4, maybe you can create pockets of safety within the wind. You can create areas within the radius that are unaffected by the wind. So, like, if you've got several allies in the area, you can just have this wind zoom around them, and it will hit just their enemy in front of them, move them out of range. Maybe they'll be able to get away. Stuff like that. Rank 5. The range increases to long range. So how distances work in this game so far is there are 4 different like categories of range. Someone in melee is within arm's reach. Someone that is in mid-range is within 30 feet. Someone within long range is within 150 feet. And someone that is too far is beyond 150 feet. So just nothing can affect things that are 150 feet away. If you're using a map, I'm sort of trying to make this map usable by giving the creature size and stuff. So if you're using a map instead of Theater of the Mind, which this I think might be easier with this system, 150 feet covers their bases. Like, not a lot of people make maps that are more than 150 feet in any dimension. So it increases to long range, and then maybe rank 6. The affected radius increases to 40 feet. And I think... Oh, wait. Actually... I want to make one more rank where you can push objects more than 5 feet. So... let's put it here. So a new rank 5. Move. Creatures and objects 10 feet. Change this into rank 7. Change this into rank... Wait, no, that's wrong. 6. Then 7. And then 8 will be, you can move them 20 feet. The wind can move each T-A-T-U-R-E-S and objects 20 feet. Okay, now create storm. Takes 10 minutes to cast. To create gotta be different kinds of storms too. Or maybe, no, maybe it's just precipitation depending on the area you're in. So you can't create snow in a desert. That wouldn't make sense. You can't make a sandstorm in a tundra. Or not a hot sandstorm, at least. Let's make the lowest one just a light rain. For 10 minutes. How far away? Let's just make this one permanently long range. Within long range. I don't know. centered. Weeds indeed, Phil. You're absolutely right. All right. You create a light rain for 10 minutes with within long range in a 50-foot radius around a point. Rank 2. Now, this is going to be super easy to increase rank-wise because there's so many numbered attributes. So we can increase the duration it rains for. We can increase the amount of rain that falls. Light rainstorm. Yeah. Let's just call it light storm. Appropriate to your appropriate to the biome. So that way you can't make it rain when it's like below 0 degrees Fahrenheit outside, for example. That would definitely be snow. Stuff like that. Rank 2, the storm. Duration increases from 10 minutes to 1 hour. Or up to 10 minutes. Rank 3. Range increases to 1 mile. Maybe that's a bit far. We'll see. Rank 4. Radius increases to 100 feet. Rank 5. The storm viciousness, the storm intensity. Increase the storm's intensity from 1 light to medium. No, I don't want to explore biome/environment because I want this system to be as genre agnostic as possible. Like, I want people to be able to use this in a space game, as well as a caveman game, as well as a epic fantasy, as well as, you know, every single RPG genre. I want to be able to use this. I don't know if I'll be able to keep it that way, but for now, like some games are set in a very specific biome, or a very specific environment. So I want that. I don't want to lock down what kind of biomes are created, are available in the system, or create more mechanics for, determining what a biome is. I feel like that would be a little bit more work than I'm willing to do, especially since I'm trying to keep this under 10 pages, if I can. I know it's a big goal. The biggest way I'm doing that is by creating these... yes, spells would be effects that are discovered and used. Right. So, I don't want to create too many of these spells. Right now, we're just working on examples, and then we are going to create a template for them. You can see here somewhere. Yeah, here's some templates. I want to create a template like this for sorceries. Players and GMs are going to be able to, instead of having a huge list of traits and traits and talents and flaws and sorceries and equipment to choose from, they are going to figure out what they need to make their story work, and then make that. And I want that to be quick, and I want it to be easy to do. I even made, I don't know if you were here when I showed this off, but I made form fillable cards. So for equipment, a title would go here, an associated check would go here, the die would go here, and then art / a description would go here. So that's kind of what I want this to be, to keep that page count low, is I want the player to be able to create their own stuff. That is why we were talking about balance earlier, and how if you accidentally make something too powerful, there's two options: adjust the rules to make it more balanced, or lean into that aspect of the story, like how would it affect the society. What would happen if the player is the first person to discover that you can just teleport someone 30 feet into the air and they fall and die. If the player is the first one to discover that, how is the society going to react once they find out that this player can do that? Like, they're going to weaponize against it, or try to figure out how to use it themselves in the same way so that they can use it against the players. So, again, broken game is not a bad thing. In fact, I think it makes the story even better. And with this, yes, the desert water monopoly, exactly. So I want to, this is kind of the template I have for sorceries, but I made it before I actually made any sorceries themselves. So I want to figure out if this template works, or if we need to change it to make it better. Scroll back to, here we are. Create storm. Let's see. You can increase the storm's intensity from light to medium. The storm now deals damage. You can roll an attack on a creature that stays within the storm for more than 1 minute. I don't know. Maybe we just save the attacks for when it's severe. Like storms that are where it would be dangerous to go outside. Alright, let's move on to rank 6. Let's see. Duration increases to 6 hours? Nah. Maybe. Right, the effect condition is distracting or similar, kind of like how, I want to say it's Sleet Storm or Ice Storm. One of those spells in D&D doesn't do any damage, but it requires concentration checks, and it's one of the only ways around the 9th level spell Invincibility. One of my DMs learned that the hard way. Because it can force concentration checks, because someone that's invincible can't take damage, and usually that's the only time you would make a concentration check. But there are a couple spells that require concentration checks anyway. Duration increases to 3 hours. Rank 7. Range increases to 10 miles. Rank 8. Might have to rework this because these ranks are getting a bit high for any actual player to want to spend this many points to get a damaging storm. Or a light to medium. Yeah. Okay. You can increase the storm's intensity to severe. A creature that spends more than 1 minute in a severe storm suffers 1 wound. I'm going to highlight this in red because I don't want to put the actual wounds together right now, but different wounds depending on biome, depending on type of storm. Rain, snow, sand. So we'll just put that in red so that I might remember to come back to it at some point. And rank 8 radius increases to 1 mile. One mile? Yeah. So at this point, you can actually summon a real storm that is severe, lasts 3 hours, is 10 miles away from you, and has a radius of 1 mile, so it's 2 miles wide. You have to see the location to target it. Yes. So this system does distinguish that you have to see the location in order to target it. So you need to be like somewhere up high on a clear day in order to create a storm 10 miles away. You cannot create water inside someone's lungs because you can't see that. If they're talking, you might be able to create a little bit in their mouth and make them splutter, but you won't be able to kill them with it. Yes, Phil gave me a gold star. I consider this a successful live stream. All right, I think that's enough for now. It is time to finally work on that template. Make it bold. So I'll pull up both real quick if I can. I'll make the rest of these bold later, I think. Yes, I love logic. It's the one philosophy class I didn't take was logic because it was just math without numbers, and I was already okay at math. And internal logic, what you're talking about, is completely different from that. I know. Okay, let's get that. Sorcery template. Scroll all the way down to the bottom. Nope, all the way to the bottom. Okay. And paste it. So the sorcery template is going to be the name of the spell. Yep, we got that in all of them. This is going to be more complicated. Casting time. 1 action if none. So that we can actually play with the casting time, but most of the spells are just going to have casting time with 1 action. Target, if applicable. Target / range. Or range, because that's more important. Every single spell is going to have a range. Not every spell is going to have a target. So an example would be like 1 creature within mid-range, or a point within mid-range. Maybe we can make that a drop-down. Make it like a creature, a point, or an object. Oh, now I'm thinking like more online. So like only if it's a creature would the target have to make a check. Okay. Creature / okay, yeah, let's just separate these. Range. Target if applicable, and it is going to be creature / object / point. Check for the target to make. Oops, sorry about that. That's a good point. Forgot about wielding objects. Let's not put that in here. Or let's make it difficult. Like you need to make a sorcery check to successfully target an object that a creature is holding because it's moving. Or successfully target a moving object. I don't know. I think it would be pretty easy to make a wreck of someone's car without making a driving check. In fact, not making a driving check would be the source of why it's being wrecked. But let's do... put it in parentheses here and move it to the correct spot within the document later. So Targeting a moving object requires a sorcery check. I don't think it would be any harder to target the helmet that someone is wearing if the person's not moving than it would be to target a helmet that someone is not wearing, you know? So it's specifically whether or not it's moving. Like if a sword is actively being wielded, it's going to be tough to hit with the spell. But I don't want to make it impossible because the idea behind it is just cool. Check for the target to make. No. Targets do not make checks. Check for the caster to make. Attack/sorcery roll. Difficulty. No, die. There we go. Effect, and then rank bonuses. Low-key testing the granularity of mechanics underpinning the effects. I do like the idea of, you know, having the effects, like having the more specific stuff be based off of the more general rule set. Instead of using these specific things to create their own rule set that you need to understand when you make them. Because these things are designed to be made by players and GMs, not by the game designer. I want to make them easy to create, and I don't want people to have to make new rules for them. So I think once, I might do it offline, but I want to put together a set of how to create these sorceries, equipment, talents, traits, flaws. I want to put together a guide on how to create those. That's going to be important. But I'll probably do that offline just because I need my whole brain to put that together. Let's see. I think this will work. So let's go through and say, okay, control fire. Yeah, actual mechanics of putting in the work for development is not good for streaming, but idea generating like this is just so much fun to do with other people. So let's remake the control fire into something. Oop, too much. There we go. Into something that actually fits into this template. So we'll put control fire there. We'll make another copy of the template. And fix the paragraph editing. Okay, so name, control fire, casting time. Might as well just put one action here, shouldn't we? Instead of saying one action if none. Yeah. action. I haven't determined exactly how long that is. I know in D&D it's 6 seconds. It might be just generally a few seconds for this system. Range. Melee. Rank up. Because that increases with more ranks. Target, if applicable. We can... Everything should have a target. Okay. Delete this. We'll just have it put in the right place later. Creature, object, or point. I would consider flame an object, but at later levels you can also target a creature. So, Stouffer! Welcome in! Glad to have you back. So we're working on actually putting the spells we created into templates and making sure the template actually works so that players and GMs can make spells, sorceries, on their own. So the target here is going to be object. Actually, we can just write fire, can't we? You have to target fire in order to control it. Rank up creature. Because you'll be able to target creature with the fire that you are controlling later. Rank up. Well, actually, we can just put the number here, can't we? Rank 2. No, the fire you are controlling does not. Okay, okay. And rank... attack range is increased. So rank 5. 5. Attack mid-range. Attack / sorcery die, a d10. And then in parentheses, oh, okay, that's going to be a lot of ranks. Okay. R4 is a D8. R7 is a D6. Let's just put those in separate parentheses to separate them better. It just looks better that way. You can do it in actual formatting when the design happens. How does it go? It go good. We've made a lot of progress actually putting together a real magic system, which is what I wanted to get done today. Effect. Move. Fire. Without touching it. Actually, no, the effect here would be all of this. And then the rank bonuses would be all of this. There. Yeah, this template works. This template is going to work very well. I like how this is going. Okay, we can delete this. Thanks, Phil. I like how this is turning out. I will also need to make a fillable thing for the sorceries, because all I've got right now is traits, talents, flaws, and equipment. Right now, there is no limit to the number of times that you can do stuff. I don't know if that's going to be okay. There's no like tracking of spell slots or anything. If there is, I'll probably put it in the new sorcery or magic casting talent that you need in order to start taking this stuff. But you just need to be really... It's absolutely okayest. You just need to, like, I think it'll be fine because you need to take extra ranks in other stuff in order to make magic useful, which means you need to be higher levels before magic can start actually having the effects you want. So most people aren't going to be doing magic as much as they're going to just take training with their sword, and already they can do a D8 to hit things. You can do that at much lower level than spending a rank in getting the talent you need to start doing sorcery, and then getting the optional, this control fire thing to actually control the fire, and you need 2 ranks in this, so that's 3 ranks already, and you need that extra 2 ranks in create fire to be able to do that at any time. So that is going to be 5 ranks. You need to be level 3 before you can actually use fire to hit things. Whereas you can start hitting things with a sword at level 1. Okay. I'm still trying to balance it a little bit because it is a game and it needs some modicum of balance. But it is not going to be balanced by any sense when the final product comes out. Okay. I think we'll call that good for magic. Because what we just did with the templates, with the creating a sorcery template here, I'm going to steal that. We still need to do with all the other types of abilities. So we'll put this here. Oh, whoops, we deleted some of this stuff. Whoops. Cut that. Fix the paragraphing. Put it at the bottom. Here. We'll just actually be putting in one action instead of leaving it blank. Let's see. Well, let's just move backwards along the thing. So, flaws. Flaws are... Everything is going to be simple in comparison to sorceries, so it should be easier from here on out. Where are our flaws? Here's our flaws. Okay, I've got several flaws here. And we are going to fix the template for them. So, flaw template. Flaw name. Let's see. Selfish. Type of check affected. Help. Effect on the check. You cannot help others with checks. So this one specifically, I don't know if it's going to be a low magic system. It might end up being a low magic. I want it to be as genre agnostic as possible. I want people to use this system for a sci-fi game, as well as be able to use it for fantasy, as well as be able to use it for just a no magic medieval system or a no magic modern system. I want this to be, genre agnostic. Glad you like it. I was pretty happy with Selfish. So there is an actual ability in here where like another player can assist with a check, and you can add, I think it's you can add a die to the check they make, and if you're selfish, you just can't do that. I mean, you're not going to help other people. Let's see, your ground movement speed can never be higher than 3 for cripple. I think this is a good template already. Like, we don't have to fix this. So if for cripple, it would be flaw name, cripple, type of check affected, movement, and the effect on the check is that you cannot, your movement speed can never be higher than 3. I don't know if that is exactly the mechanics. We haven't figured out the mechanics of movement yet. Still definitely a to-do. But missing an arm. Cannot use any two-handed equipment or dual-wield. Or stuff like that. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. Type of check affected for that would be none. Effect on the check. Let's just make this effect instead of effect on the check. Because there are some, like missing an arm or technophobe, that don't really have checks associated with them. Like illiterate, you just can't make these. Well, that would be a checks that you cannot make. Hoarder, also checks you cannot make. Most of them are going to have checks, but cannot use certain equipment is definitely something that would have none under check. But I think the template still works. So we'll call that template good once we change the effect to just effect. Cool. Let's save this so we don't lose everything suddenly. Let's do effective is passive. Well, all of them are going to be passive in that sense. They are either going to be cannot use equipment, cannot attempt checks, or if you do attempt this check, it's going to have a minimum size of die you can use. So like, where is it? Blind, deaf, cannot speak. Vampirism and lycanthropy are going to be messy. I might just take those out for the publication. Unintelligent. If you have the flaw unintelligent, checks that require critical thinking have a minimum of a D12. So you can think really, really hard about something by spending all of your effort points on this check to figure it out, but you cannot use anything less than d12 to figure it out. Same with ugly, for convincing people to spend time with you. Stuff like that. Yeah, no, I think actually struggle might be a better word for what's happening, because flaws is strictly negative. I might just change that right now. Just I like that wording better. It has very little chance of like offending someone. Like, being blind might not necessarily be a flaw or in some people's eyes, but it would be a struggle. Like, no one can deny that. Your point is affecting a die roll is mechanically different from passively not being able to do anything at all. I see. Okay. Yeah. Struggle, limitation. Oh, yes, there is. Okay. There's absolutely a way to overcome this. There is a talent. Where is it? Talents. Nope, that's sorceries. Talent. Where'd it go? We're going to make a talent called Remove a Flaw. So, this might be changed to Overcome. /overcome. I like that. Just your wording today, Stouffer, is brilliant. So you can spend several ranks. This is going to be an expensive talent, but you're going to have to level up pretty high. Like it's not just going to be you spend one rank and now it's deleted. Yay! It's going to be like 2 or 3, in order to like fix your blindness. And one note I'm going to put in with that one is it has to be a part of the story for removing this flaw. Like, you need an explanation. Like, did you, is this a journey to find someone who magically healed your eyes? Or is this a, it's a character long-term goal? So people are going to want to play this for multiple levels, like to get back the eyes that my nemesis stole from me, something like that. So yes, there is definitely going to be a mechanical way to overcome flaws. I do like your idea of not calling them flaws, but for now we're going to call this flaw. What was it? Struggle or limitation? I like struggle more. I might put out a poll for that on YouTube or something one of these days. All right, let's see. Let's do traits. So traits are the biological attributes of your character. Okay, trait name. Taste tester. Biological attribute. Special check. I don't know what I was thinking with this. Like, if you have a prehensile tail, you'd be able to make these checks. Just say affected check. Yeah, sense poison. Exactly. That could be one interpretation of the taste tester trait. 100%. There might be a sense poison spell that you could make as well. You can sense poison and maybe rank up to sense poison farther and farther away. Sense poison and maybe what kind, because, you know, poison chemistry and biology, some poisons affect certain races, stuff like that. Let's see. So biological attribute here would be good at tasting. Or sensitive tongue. Affected check would be taste related. Which is taste. I'd have one of these for all the senses, so touch, D8 for touch, D8 for taste, D8 for vision, which is going to be a huge one. D8 for smelling, D8 for listening, also another big one. I also made it so that you can play undead by taking the correct traits. So if you are breathless, you don't need air. If you are not hungry, you don't need food. Affected check, if any. Because, you know, not needing food is not going to require any checks. All you can picture is a player licking a boulder and asking the GM who walked by recently. Well, you'd only be able to tell it if they, you know, relieve themselves on that boulder. Is there different pay scales for power? Just some better, others worse. In this case, with traits, there's no scaling. It is just a plain biological attribute that everyone that is like that ancestry has. I might be a little loud for you guys. I'm peeking out just a tad. Just a little bit. So we'll fix that a little bit. Anyway. So, like, ageless, you do not age. You can breathe water. These two, most traits are just going to be straight passive effects. There aren't a whole lot that require a die roll, but there will be some. So resistant to magic. Attractive. Yeah, most of these don't involve die rolls. Just the senses are most of them. Oh, yes. It may be the DM setting. Yes, absolutely. Like, you can just... Like, I have... One of my second ones in here is heat vision. I've never, ever seen an RPG that has a heat vision ability, like a biological heat vision ability, that the characters can take. Or that applies to some races. So, yeah, maybe your world doesn't have heat vision. Like, if you're playing in the D&D world-ish and you just don't want to play D&D, then yeah, you're not going to have heat vision, or sense linking, or photosynthesis. Like, these are just some of the crazier traits that we came up with in brainstorming. Infravision, that's cool. They cut out so many good things from older editions. I don't know if you've seen Phil, but I do some other streams. Stouffer, you probably know this. One of my other big things I like to do on stream is go through AD&D books, monster books, and port them over to 5th edition. I haven't done it in a while due to the OGL debacle and all of the heat on the word D&D. But I'll probably go back to that, given the what appears to be okay resolution to that nonsense. But I do really like the older editions having a bunch of really cool stuff that just got cut for newer, simpler editions. So that's another thing I do on stream. Just a self-plug. So flaws are good. Trait templates, we changed that a little bit to this. Kit bash, that's the word for it. Yes, it is the okayest resolution. I do not claim to have any involvement in that. Just, you know, a little bit of fighting that not very many people saw. Fix the trait template. Okay. Now on to the big one. The talent template. And I think this will be the last thing we do today. Been on here for a while. I got other stuff to do. Let's see. Talent template. This is going to be the other complicated one. So, just to run down what exactly talents would be. There would be weapon-specific talents, like knife training. You're good at attacking with daggers. When you do so, you roll a d8. You can throw a dagger to attack a mid-range target. So this is specific to the dagger equipment. This basically, if you have a dagger, you can attack with a d10 and maybe deal the associated wound with that dagger. I haven't built the dagger equipment block yet. But this knife training block will allow you to attack better with those daggers. And you need to take a talent in it in order to be able to throw them effectively. You need to take another rank in it to be able to cause wounds. Applies a wound, capital W. I don't know why I'm being nitpicky about that. A wound called bleeding, which I will put in parentheses. I'm sorry, I keep moving my head around because my microphone is right here, so it's between my eyes and my keyboard, so I have to look at the keyboard over here. Yeah, that's why I keep dipping, ducking, dodging, diving, and dodging. Okay, and so that's rank 1. Rank 2. Rank 3. Rank 5. I'm gonna have to rank those up a lot. Maybe make this 4. Make this 8. Maybe put some stuff in there. You can dodge a wrench. You can look at your keyboard. Love it. All right, now putting this into an actual template form might be difficult. Talent name, knife training. Type of check affected, attack with dagger. Die to roll when making an affected check. D8. And then rankings would be R4 D6 8d4. I hope that's clear enough. I might have to explain that. Or just write out the word rank later. And put this into a usable format. Ranks, if any. We'll just put ranks there. Rank bonuses. Maybe put abilities gained. Dagger attack mid-range. There we go. Rank bonuses. And then we'll just copy paste all of this in there. Okay. Yeah, that worked out quite well. And I think I captured everything. Awesome. Awesome! Okay. This template is good. Talent template. Copy. Move up to the templates. And paste it in there. Delete all the extra stuff that is dagger and knife training specific. And then call it a day. Thank you so much to both you, Phil, and Stouffer for sticking with me. All of you lurkers in the background that have just been listening to me this whole time. And anybody that is going to watch this or has watched this when it is not live, because that's also a thing you can do. I really appreciate everyone's help with this so far. I've lost track of the number of people that have given me advice on this by now. I am really, really excited to get this into place testing mode. Got a little bit of behind the scenes work to do, like actually grinding out and putting all of these traits and talents and whatnot into the templates that we've created, just for examples. And I think next time our goal is going to be hashing out the combat or action scene rules enough to be able to actually playtest on my own for a little bit of, you know, a player character fighting a monster to the death. That's going to be my goal for next time, I think. When is that going to be? Don't know. Probably next weekend, depending on my schedule. I don't have the ability to make a regular stream schedule. It'd be super cool if I could. And I'm going to try to, but no promises. Thank you again to everybody that is hanging out with me today. And I will see you on the other side. But remember, everything is going to be okay.